You know how some stories are just stories? The kind you tell to get a little spooked before you fall asleep. But what if some legends aren't just stories? What if they're waiting?
Yeah, waiting for someone to stumble right into them. So, what happens when an old ghost story decides you're going to be its next victim? Well, today we're going to dive into one of those stories, the chilling legend of the Corpse Bride. Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story takes place in Salabrena, a small coastal town in Spain. You know the type: beautiful, white-walled houses, impossibly narrow streets, and the sound of church bells in the air. During the day, the place is absolutely stunning. I mean, picture perfect. But when the sun goes down, something shifts. The busy streets become dead silent. A really strange, deep cold seems to just settle over everything. And the locals? They lock their doors and you won't see a single soul until the sun comes up. So, into this strange little town walks Mateo Guerrero. He's 19, an architecture student from Madrid, and he's completely oblivious to this whole day and night thing. He's just there to study the old buildings for his research. While he's exploring, he wanders into this old cemetery by the church, and that's where he finds something weird. It's a decaying, broken-down wedding arch, just standing there over a patch of dark earth. And get this, there are these ancient, brittle flowers still clinging to it. It's like a forgotten celebration in a place of death. And this little discovery, well, it marks the beginning of the end for him.
That night, Mateo's back at the guest house he's staying in, trying to get some work done, but his research gets interrupted because something is outside.
It starts as just a faint sound, kind of like cloth dragging over the cobblestones. He glances out the window and sees it, just for a second, a white silhouette in the dark, shaped like a woman in a long gown. He blinks and it's gone. He probably just chalks it up to a tourist, and tries to get back to work.
But the next night, the sound is back. Only this time, it's closer. Much closer. He opens the window, and this blast of freezing air just rushes in, a kind of deep chill that makes no sense in the middle of a warm Spanish summer. It's the kind of cold you feel when you know someone was just standing right there. He looks down onto the street, and there, on the stone path, is a fresh trail of wet footprints. They're made of dark, damp earth, and they're leading from right outside his guest house straight towards the cemetery. Curiosity gets the better of him, and he follows them.
Following those tracks leads Mateo right back to that broken wedding arch, and that's where the true horror of Salabrena is waiting for him.
And there she is, standing right under the arch, a figure in a tattered old wedding gown. As she turns, her veil shifts a little, her face is bone white, her eyes are just hollow sockets, and there are dark streaks running down her cheeks that look an awful lot like dried blood. And then Mateo notices the most terrifying detail of all. Her feet aren't touching the ground. After a night of absolutely no sleep, a terrified Mateo goes to the old caretaker of the guest house. The second Mateo mentions the wedding arch, the old man's face just drains of color. He knows exactly what and who Mateo saw.
He tells him the legend. Way back in 1889, a young woman named Isabella Romero was supposed to marry her sweetheart, Javier. On her wedding night, she stood there waiting, right under that same arch. But Javier never showed. He'd run off with another woman. Isabella waited all night long in the cold, and by sunrise, she was found dead. They say she died of a broken heart. Now that Mateo knows the story, it's like a switch has been flipped. The spirit's attention is dangerously focused on him. She's not just a sad ghost anymore. Now she's a threat. That very night, the footsteps come back, stopping right outside his door. A heavy smell of wet dirt and rotting flowers starts seeping into the room. He watches, completely frozen, as the doorknob slowly starts to turn. Then the door bursts open, and there's nothing there, just an empty hallway. As he's breathing a sigh of relief, he glances over at the window, and her face is there, inches from the glass, just staring in at him. The next morning, Mateo flees to the local church. He frantically tells his story to the priest, who listens patiently and then asks him one single, chilling question. When you first went to the cemetery, did you take anything with you? And that question just hits Mateo like a ton of bricks. He remembers that first day at the arch. He was fascinated by those ancient withered flowers.
He'd plucked one, just a small souvenir for his research sketchbook. The priest explains that by taking that flower, Mateo basically sent her a signal. Isabella's ghost doesn't see a student. She sees her groom, Javier, finally back to claim her. The priest's advice is simple and urgent. Leave this town. Leave now. Mateo rushes back to the guest house, his heart absolutely pounding. He's going to grab his things and get out. But it's already too late.
As he runs to his room, he sees it. Fresh, muddy footprints right on his doorstep. The same ones from the cemetery. She's not waiting outside anymore. She's already here.
He's frantically throwing his stuff into a bag when the sky just turns black. A freak storm just descends on the town. The lights flicker, and then die. A huge crack of thunder. A flash of lightning lights up the room for a split second, and in that flash he sees her. She's standing in the middle of his room.
Mateo lets out a scream. It's the last thing anyone ever hears from him.
The old caretaker hears the scream and runs to the room. He finds it completely empty. The window is wide open, and Mateo is just gone. A few hours later, his body is discovered. He's in the cemetery, lying directly beneath the broken wedding arch, his clothes covered in that same dark, wet mud.
The townspeople knew exactly what happened. The corpse bride had waited for over a century for her groom to return. And in Mateo, she finally found him. And this time, she wasn't letting him go.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Every town has its stories, its ghosts, its own local legends. How many of them are just waiting patiently for some curious visitor to make one small mistake and bring the whole terrifying story back to life?
If you like this video, please subscribe the channel. Thank you.